I'm Kira Morgan. Thanks for joining me on Election Information. And today I am with incumbent Claire Hall, who is running once again
Hmm.
for her county commission seat. Claire, for those who maybe don't know anything about you,
Okay, I'll try
tell
to
us a
give you
little
the elevator speech.
tell us a little bit about you
Okay,
and what you do as county commissioner.
sure. Well, I'm 64 years old. I'm a native Oregonian. I settled in Lincoln County permanently at the beginning of 1987. I was in the media for about 18 years, reporting for the News Times, also doing news at Yaquina Bay Communications. And then 2004, I had a group of people approach me after the then incumbent commissioner Jean Cowan announced that she would be retiring from that position, and they encouraged me to run. And so I sounded out a wider circle of friends. I got a lot of encouragement. So here I am 20 years later. So then the second part of your question is a good one, too. What does a county commissioner do? Well, there are three of us. We are full time elected officials, each elected county-wide. The county organization is really big. We have about 500 people working for us, full and part time, $164 million annual budget for this current year. And we basically are managers of the organization as well as doing policy work in our areas of interest. And, managing a budget that large, our budget process usually takes 2 or 3 months, and that's important because that's really the roadmap of what we're going to be doing in the next year. But then also hiring of department heads, personnel policy matters, contract negotiations. The commissioners are part of all of these things and more. Some of my policy interests and focus through the years. First off, of course, housing and homelessness. Want to talk about that now or maybe in a follow up moment? I'll give them
It's
the
up
big
to you.
picture. Okay.
What are the
Well,
main things
yeah.
that you've been focusing on in your career?
Yeah,
How's that?
yeah, certainly housing and homelessness goes at the head of the list for a lot of reasons. Humanitarian reasons. You know, human beings should not be forced to fight for their existence every night. And with what we've been able to do, the county opening shelters in Lincoln City and Newport this past winter, on top of other newcomers like the program in Lincoln City, the Helping Hands, longtime places like Samaritan House and my sister's place. But I really think we're getting a handle on homelessness, not just managing it, but going beyond it, that we're widening our whole network of services. When I talk to our shelter manager, the number of people and agencies she interacts with is just astonishing. And she and her team are working, if all possible, to get people into permanent housing placements as well as connected with other services. And then what about housing? Well, we have had a housing shortage building up in this country for at least 50 years.
I was going to say the commissioners have kind of come under fire regarding the VRD policies and things like that.
That does play into it. So, how about if I get back to VRDs with the broad picture? Oregon is something like 120,000 housing units short right now at this very minute. In the last 5 years, we have saved, built, acquired something like 450 affordable units. And I tell everybody, that's a great start. We're doing better than a lot of communities, but it's only a start. And when I hear people say, "Well, yeah, what about middle income housing and upper middle income housing?" Yes, that's needed too. But again, getting back to the goal of the homeless services, saving lives, stabilizing people, Can I share one of my favorite anecdotes? You know, I'm
Of
full of
course.
anecdotes.
No.
Okay, Fistera Gardens, 21 affordable units in Yachats that opened up a few years back. As chair of the Housing Council, I got to speak there with some other dignitaries, the developer, but I can't remember a thing any of the rest of us said that day. But there was a mom, a single mom of a teenage daughter who had been working in Yachats for quite a while at a property management firm, but until Fistera opened up, she was making the 1 hour commute from Five Rivers. That was the only location she could find an affordable home. And if you don't know where Five Rivers is, check a map, but it's pretty far inland in the southern part of the county.
Hmm.
And she was just so thrilled that she was really going to be able to have quality time with her child. And yeah, that gets me all choked up and weepy too. But that, you know, lives are being transformed right now. And I just don't want to see that lost in the discussion of what types of housing we need or how best to serve people.
Good
Getting,
point.
yeah, getting heads in beds with roofs over them. Somebody used that phrase, said, if you sum up all we're trying to do on housing, that's exactly it. You mentioned vacation rentals. You want me to
Yes.
talk about that a bit? Okay. Certainly a hot button topic, people both against them and for them.
Hmm.
You know, for a long time, the cities of Newport, Lincoln City, and Yachats have had licensing and enforcement programs for VRDs. The county never did that. And, you know, I was aware of a steadily growing problem, but it really didn't get on my colleagues' radar screen until I believe 2016. I was invited to a series of community meetings in Gleneden Beach. And, you know,
Hmm.
Gleneden,
I
that
remember that.
area is probably most heavily residentially developed of any unincorporated area in the county. And I was listening to horror story after horror story
Mhm.
after horror story. I persuaded Commissioner Hunt to come to one of these meetings. Didn't take too much cajoling. Terry Thompson, my dear old colleague, he was the tough one because, you know, though Terry was a Democrat, he was kind of an old school, almost conservative Democrat. And one of the things that was a principle to him, government ought not to get in the business
Don't
of
get involved,
regulating
right?
things. But he finally saw it too, that it was a quality of life issue and it was
Hmm.
out of control. And so we adopted our first ordinance in 2018. Um, a year ago, I believe it was in January, we okayed setting up a map of the county, divided into 7 areas, setting caps on the number of VRDs in each area. And yes, all of those areas, except for one, maybe two, are over limit. So right now, the path we're on, I would say, is slow attrition. We have a moratorium in place on any new licenses. And I think, you know, if people aren't aware, we're taking other steps. We have taken other steps to really beef up our enforcement and strengthen the overall program. In January, we doubled the license application and renewal fee. It was pretty modest to begin with, but you know, the increase roughly $1 a day for an owner operator. And that was done, you know, we made a spreadsheet available. It only reflects the actual cost of providing the program. Also, we strengthened our code enforcement ordinance for the first
Hmm.
time in many years. And it's a funny thing, I heard an elected official once say, we can do almost anything we want as long as we give ourselves permission first. So we essentially gave ourselves, the county,
Hmm.
permission to impose much higher maximum fines and for the first time to impose daily fines if the court rules for a corrective action and the person doesn't comply.
Hmm.
Again, putting some teeth in that. So I think this is going to be an issue we're going to have to wrestle with in many years to come. Certainly, I know a lot of people see it as a contributor to our housing shortage, and I think that factor should be considered as well. But to me, it's really always come down to neighborhood quality of life.
So, Claire, why do you feel you should be reelected once again? You've got quite a few folks, four
Yeah.
very qualified folks
Hmm.
who are running against you. Why
Well,
you?
various degrees of qualification, I'll say. Why me? Because I'm the only one who's actually been a county commissioner. Two of the folks have no prior office holding experience. The other two are on city councils, and that is good and important service. But in terms of a matter of scale, it's doesn't really compare with what the demands, the expectations of what a commissioner faces. I haven't even talked about yet about my regional work and work in Salem on behalf of the county. And I'm the one who's done it. I've done it well. I feel like I've got momentum going on a lot of projects and opportunities right now. I love this county and its people deeply, passionately, and I want more than anything else to be able to continue serving them.
All right. Is there anything else that you want voters to know in regards to you running for county commissioner once
Okay.
again?
Well, can I encourage people to visit my website, which is
Mhm.
voteclairehall.com? You'll probably find out more about me than you ever wanted to know, but I've got a full biography on there, a resume, priorities on certain issues. We haven't even touched on what I've done to essentially triple the staffing in the Veterans Office, supporting the gradual expansion of Lincoln County Transit. Every day in this job is new, different, and that's just another reason why I am so enthusiastic about waking up every morning knowing that I'm going to have some opportunity to help people.
What would you say are weaknesses that need to be addressed when it comes to the county and the county commission's office that you feel
Okay.
you could improve?
Well, I think we're always striving to truly maintain services countywide, and especially with Newport and Lincoln City being roughly 10,000 each. There, you've got almost one quarter of the total county population. Over the last several years, we have opened up a lot of satellite offices in Lincoln City. Some of them are thriving, like the community health clinic.
Mhm.
Others I've got to admit we struggle sometimes to keep them adequately staffed, but that's going to be a continuing focus. I think you know I, it's hard being on the inside to spot a weakness, but I think just the fact that we're always open, we have a highly transparent public process. We really encourage people to reach out to us with comments, questions, concerns, and just want to keep. I think we're better off now than we were 4 years ago when we were in the midst of fire and pandemic. Better off than we were when I came here, 1987. No Oregon Coast Aquarium, no community college, no performing arts center. I mean, in so many ways, this county, yeah, it's really a beautiful place and it's being discovered by more and more people. And they're enriching our lives culturally, economically, all artistically, all kinds of ways. And I think probably the greatest challenge for us, as well as other local governments, is managing the growth that's starting to come and will continue to come. Because we want to welcome new folks, but at the same time, we absolutely must maintain our quality of life. If we let the county get overrun by people who don't share our values and ideals, that would be a challenge to deal with, I guess I'll say.
All right. And Claire, one more time, if folks want more information about you, where can they go?
VoteClairHall.com. That's VoteClairHall.com.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you so much, and very best of luck in the next election.
Thank you very much, Kira.